Victor Williams, so you are the head of NBA Africa.
Yes.
So you have been working hard to expand basketball on the continent.
Yeah.
So I'm from the continent. Football is obviously a very, very big sport, big
Yeah.
fan base. How are you seeing attitudes towards basketball change?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. We're really excited about the future of basketball in Africa. And I must say that this is a sport that already has a strong foothold on the continent. In quite a few countries, basketball is already the most popular sport. We see it growing tremendously amongst youth. They're attracted to the fast pace of the game, the ability for everyone to be involved. It's a great opportunity. Basketball is also linked to fashion and culture. Basketball is cool, and young people really appreciate that. So we're seeing tremendous growth in interest in the game in terms of participation. We're seeing continued growth in fandom for the NBA. And since the NBA introduced the Basketball Africa League to the continent, we're seeing real excitement about a professional league on the continent played by Africans that tells and showcases African stories.
I mean, you touched on it right there, but the intersection of sports with other cultures, music, education, everything else that goes around it, like these mini economies, is huge. So what are you doing on the continent outside of the actual sports itself?
So one of the things we are really driving is the recognition of sports as a vehicle for economic growth. And so we are, through our Basketball Africa League, as well as through other activities we're doing on the continent, we're looking to demonstrate that sports can be a vehicle for investment and economic activity. And so helping people understand that sports can be not just about participation, but also about commercialization is one of the things that we're driving. I think the other thing that we're also leaning into is, as you said, basketball as a lifestyle and entertainment vehicle. Especially Africans' youth, are really hungry for vehicles that allow them to express their passions and their excellence and their creativity. And there are lots of synergies in terms of the energy around sports and what we're seeing in music and fashion and film and art, and we're really tapping into those as well.
There's huge creative potential on the continent. So tell me, when you're speaking to investors, either here at this conference or just in general, are they excited about the opportunities of investing in Africa, or do they have misconceptions of what the investment arena is like?
We see tremendous interest and growing interest in investing in sports generally on the African continent. And sports as a investment class is actually increasingly well recognized and successful outside of Africa. There are lots of positive stories of investment firms and investment professionals doing really well with sports leagues, sports teams, and sports content. In Africa, we haven't historically seen that. And so we see NBA Africa, and what we're doing is helping to build and validate an investment thesis around sports in Africa. We encourage and are pleased when other sports also move in that direction. And the interest is there. What we all need to do is continue to build out the commercial models so that people make money over time and can reinvest that capital back into sports on the continent.
And where are your biggest growth areas in Africa right now?
So we're particularly focused on, we see opportunity across the continent, but I'll say the places where we're focused from a geographic perspective, South Africa, where we've had a presence for a while. Recently, we've opened offices in Nigeria, in Senegal, in Egypt, We just signed a memorandum of understanding with the Kenyan government around opening an office
that's fantastic.
in Nairobi as part of a broader efforts to grow the game of basketball in Kenya.
The other thing that is important when it comes to basketball, we spoke about the commercialization, but like any sports, these these famous sports players become role models for young people. So what are you doing to encourage these players to use their fame responsibly?
Well, I must say that one of the things we're really blessed with in Africa is just tremendous, human beings who also happen to be NBA players that are either from Africa or have African parentage. So today we have about 50 of the players in the NBA who are either from Africa or have parents from Africa. And all the ones that we're interacting with are just excited about the opportunity to use their platforms, their resources, and lend their name and efforts to growing the game on the continent, but also using sport as the platform from which they deliver other benefits. One of our closest friends at NBA Africa has been Dikembe Mutombo, who has used his platform and his influence to then bring schools to the DRC, hospitals to the DRC, and to lead other philanthropic efforts on the continent. And we're seeing many other African players or players of African heritage who are looking to do that as well. And so at the league and with the Players Association, we're really working to encourage them to come. We're facilitating their time on the continent and just supporting them in every way we can.
That's fantastic. I mean, sports really opens the door to so many other things. So my final question for you is, we look ahead to next year, to the next Gabi conference, the next 12 months. What really do you want to see achieved in concrete terms in these next 12 months?
So I think one of the things that a forum like UNGA, where it plays a unique role, is in that confluence of policymakers and politicians with the private sector, and in our case, the players and the creative sector. And I think one of the things that we see in Africa is when the public sector, governments, presidents, policy are clear in their vision around sports and investing in the area, we see significant gains. We've seen that, for example, in the work that we've done in Rwanda. And bringing the BAL to Rwanda is part of that interaction. But one of the things that we hope would come out of a conference like this one is a clearer commitment by African governments to support sports, to make investments that help drive sports, like constructing arenas, and then to continue to invest in sports at the grassroots levels for young people.
Well, I'm excited to hear more about Kenya when we speak next year, and also some other countries where you may have signed.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to meet you.
You too.